This is our first video of 2025, and I hope everyone had a wonderful New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. At the very least, I hope you got some sleep after all those New Year's festivities. And today we are going to make this bracelet, and it is called Knotted Treasures. I have two variations of Knotted Treasures, and this one is sepia, and of course it's very neutral, and actually it's a little bit mixed metals as well, so it will literally go with whatever metals you like to wear. And then we have the very vibrant Southwest, and this is what Southwest looks like. I'm going to put it next to my little pearl bracelet. So this has all those vibrant gemstones that are usually present in the Southwestern jewelry, and a few more. So we have a little bit for everybody. You can have either a very neutral bracelet or a very colorful bracelet, and either way these two will go with just about anything.
Jeline says hello.
Hello, Jeline.
And she adds, thanks, Tony. My pleasure, Jeline.
Oh, I'm assuming it's
There was some correspondence.
Oh, fantastic. You guys are pen pals. That's awesome.
Fonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year.
Hi, Fonda, and Happy New Year. And Happy New Year to everyone. This is exciting. It's 2025. How did this even happen, right? I don't know.
Kim K says, Happy New Year, everyone.
Hi, Kim, and Happy New Year. Okay, ladies. So this is a very easy technique. In fact, I have done so many different variations on a similar bracelet. And normally they have a little button as part of the clasp. This is how it works. There is a little loop, and we're just going to button our clasp, and there it is. So these bracelets that I make, they're really based on balance, but not symmetry, of very, very eclectic little components, and they all just kind of make this cohesive look. And so this time I'm using a hematite bracelet for one, a hematite button rather, for one of the bracelets, and a toggle clasp for the other bracelet. So, you know, if you think about it, a toggle is just a long button. It's literally the same thing. There's a shank, and very similarly, we're just going to button our clasp just as if it were a button, and it's just a slightly different look, maybe a little bit more updated. And I went for this because I really like the pattern on the toggle clasp. I love that texture of that Southwestern feel. And I have a few more silver beads in this version of the bracelet, and they just kind of break up the colorful gemstones. And so I'm going to cover both ways of doing this. I mean, really, it's very, very similar.
Pam says hello.
Hi, Pam, and thanks for joining us.
Althea says, Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.
Kim R says, Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year, my friends. Hopefully this year is full of happiness and joy and all good things.
Trudy says, hello. Happy New Year to all.
Judy, thank you so much and Happy New Year. Okay, ladies, so I'm just going to unbutton these because it's easy to just leave them like this right in front of my workspace, right here. Okay, and so what do you think? Should we?
Yes says happy Thursday and happy New Year.
Hi, Katie, and happy Thursday and Happy New Year to you, my friend. Okay, ladies, so we're going to make a Knotted Treasures bracelet. And whichever version you bond with, either way, we're going to have a button of sorts. Oh, but you know what? I guess I forgot to grab the toggle clasp. Well, you know what? I'm just going to ask Tony to grab me the toggle clasp. There are plenty of them on Bonnie's desk. Bonnie, of course, is our awesome kit. I don't know, I was going to say assembler, but it's much more inspired than that. I mean, Bonnie is so good at putting together kits. She's awesome. What can I say? Even if if I don't catch something, she does. And she puts a lot of effort and love in those kits that you order. So anyway, so Tony is going to grab a toggle from Bonnie's desk. And here he is. Thank you so much. And now we can get started.
Lori says happy New Year, Irina, Tony, and everyone.
Hi, Lori, and Happy New Year to you, my friend. Okay, ladies, and we have a toggle and a button. So if you're making the sepia tones, you're going to have the hematite button. If you have Southwest gemstones, you are going to have that little toggle. And either way, we are going to be working with black Ceylon. So the toggle obviously has a shank. So if we're working with a shank, we're just going to put our string through the shank. If we're working with the hematite button, we're simply going to put our string through the hematite button. Either way, you guys know how buttons work. It's all the same. The only thing I'm going to point out about working with the button, it is just very slightly curved. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a little bit of a curve to the button. And I like the curve facing up. So if you're looking at it like this, it's going to be just a little bit concave. I just think it's a little bit more attractive this way, but could you do it the other way? Of course you could. And I think I'm going to start demoing with the button. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to line up our ands, and I will tell you that the Ceylon you're going to be using is quite long. I don't remember. I think it's about 52 inches or so. Don't quote me on this, but it's really quite long. But do me a favor, don't make it shorter, because actually it's really kind of surprising how much those little knots take up. So since we're going to be doing the knotting, our string is going to get quite a bit shorter. Button in the center of our Ceylon, we are just going to make an overhand knot with both ends of the Ceylon. So I'm just making it fairly close to the button.
Connie says hello, everyone.
Hi, Connie, and hello, Happy New Year. I have my knot, and now we're just going to do a step that is optional, and you've seen me do this like a million times. we are going to make a self needle on either end. And again, it's an optional step. If you don't feel like doing it, I guess you don't have to. But it's kind of much easier to go through our beads. So I'm going to use super new glue and put a small amount of super new glue on one of the ends, about 1.5, starting 1.5 inches from the end. And then using a folded piece of paper, I'm going to wipe off. That is very important because otherwise it's just not going to work all that well. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other end of our Ceylon.
Connie says Happy New Year to you, Tony, and everyone.
Oh, thank you so much, Connie. So I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We had a super fun New Year's Eve. We spent it with our friends and then relaxed, and I think we watched a movie and played some cards. And and now it's really nice to be back. Okay, ladies, so once we made the self needles with those ends, we're going to, once the glue is dry, and it does dry, which is why I absolutely love this glue, I'm just going to use my scissors and cut the string at an angle. Sometimes I will just use my wire cutter. Sometimes I will use these little scissors, and I cut it at an angle so that literally it looks like a little needle. And this way it's very, very easy to go through our beads. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go in the same order as our sample. However, you can always remix. And also, I will tell you a little secret. It's not much of a secret, really. So the way we made these kits is so that you can make the bracelets up to 8.5 inches about. And so you might even see beads that are not in the bracelet. So don't be shocked. This is, it's supposed to be there, and you can always remix if you don't like the order. If you like the order of how I have the beads in my sample, then you can just follow that. And just for the sake of simplicity today, I'm just going to follow that. So we're going to string our first bead, and this is a lovely, lovely pave cubic zirconia bead. It's very fun and sparkly, and we're going to string it onto just one end of the string, so the other end is side by side. And so the idea when you make a bracelet like this, I'm sure you notice that some of the fiber is exposed. In fact, it's going right around the bead, and that is just a really fun boho look where the fiber adds to the look of the finished piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to be making an overhand knot just as before, but this time we're going to be really cognizant of the fact that the hole is right here. If you're just making knots without paying attention, they're going to end up somewhere, not to end up right where the string comes out of the bead, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is the string that goes on the outside of the bead, I'm going to bring it right to the opening of the bead. And this way, when I make the knot, it's going to sit exactly where I want it. So this is what it looks like. And now with my finger, do you see how I'm holding on to the string right where the opening is? I hope you guys can see that. Oh, you know what? Tony's pointing out, this is so easy to skip. Okay, let me backtrack. Okay, this was kind of a JK, I guess. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. And as I said, you could remix the beads. You could have a whole different order. But since I said we're going in the same order, I'm not going to start with the pretty pave bead, but instead I'm going to start with the Swarovski bead because that's what I have on my sample. So it's very nice that Tony noticed that.
Ellie says, hi, such a pretty bracelet.
Hi, Ellie, and thank you so much, and Happy New Year, my friend.
And M says, oh dear, I'm out and about in Auckland, New Zealand, 2:15 p.m.
Oh, good for you. You have a lot of daylight left yet. So we're going to tie a knot just like we said by bringing the string to the opening in the bead, to the hole in the bead. And this is going to be just a regular overhand knot with both ends of the string knot. So I know it's a black bead, so it's a little bit difficult to see given that the bead is black and so is the string. But let me point out, so the string is on this side of the bead. It kind of goes around the bead and it's on the side of the bead that is facing the camera. So now I'm going to string the next bead on, but I'm going to do this in a very deliberate way. Between these two strands, I'm going to pick the strand that lines up, it's on the same side as the string. So this is the string that I'm going to string my little pave bead onto. So why am I being so deliberate about this? Because I want the string to be on the opposite side this time. So it's almost kind of like the string is forming a figure 8. And again, we're just going to bring the string to the hole, hold on to it as we tie the knot. And the way to do it, of course, is you hold on to the bead, and at the same time, you don't let the knot get away from the bead. So you always keep it right there at the bead. And you can always tighten the knot by pulling on the two strings one at a time. So you can do this, or you can even split them and kind of tug on this a little bit, and it will move. So this is what I have so far. And maybe we'll just do one more bead. It's really all the same. From here on, it's really all the same. So next, I have this beautiful 8mm Swarovski bead, and we're going to string that on. So which string do you think we should string? This one, because again, this one lines up with the string on the outside of the bead, meaning it's on the same side. So let's locate our Swarovski bead, and you see how the string ends up on the opposite side, again forming that slightly lopsided figure 8. Let me know if that makes sense. And you know, this is kind of very small detail, but it is that minutia that makes it look really cohesive.
Lori is wondering, can you use Irish waxed linen for this bracelet?
I'm not sure, Lori, because I haven't tried it. So I have worked it out with the seal-on, and you know, when I say I haven't tried it, what I'm really saying is it all depends on the size of the holes in your beads. But also there's another factor when you're working with anything that is waxed. I guess it all depends on how waxed it is, whether it's going to make the bracelet stiff. There are so many factors. That's why, I'm so deliberate as I pick all the materials for the pieces that I show. So unfortunately, I could not tell you.
Allie says makes sense. You can see it.
Yay, thank you so much. Move on. I do want to just point out one quick thing. So all of the beads in here are pretty intuitive. It's, it has a hole, it's a bead, you know what to do with it. However, two of the beads I paired into the same unit. And these are the barbell beads. These are Swarovski barbell beads. So these are actually two separate beads. So when you get your kit and you're looking for this little bead, it's actually not one bead, but two beads. So I'm not going to knot it in place because it's a little bit out of place, but I just want to show you how they nest. They nest really beautifully. You see how it looks like a little peanut or like a little barbell. You can see that. And so then when we put the next one on here, the second one kind of nests in the low point of the first. And that is how we get this little chunk. I love this little chunky little nugget sort of bead when you put them together. Isn't that kind of really fun? Okay, ladies, so we're just going to keep going and keep knotting all of our beads into place until, oh, wait a minute, what did I do here? Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. As it turned out, I didn't actually, oh yes, I did need that toggle just to show that you start in the same way. And pretty soon, you get all these beads into place. And so this is just two beads short of a full bracelet. And although, of course, if you have a larger size, you have plenty of extra beads in the kit so that you can make it longer. And some of them, so one thing I really like to do as I go is just kind of give it a little stretch. What you might notice is that it's a little bit, it's not exactly stiff, but sometimes as you're creating, and depending on how tightly you knot, it may be a little bit zigzaggy, but once you give it a little stretch, all of a sudden, it's just absolutely beautiful. Then it becomes really drapey and it really straightens out. And of course, as you wear it, it becomes even softer and more comfortable. So right now, I'm 2 beads short of having finished the bracelet. So let's go ahead and string the remaining 2 beads on. So after this little Tibetan agate bead, I'm going to have a beautiful little moonstone coin.
Kathy H says, I'm late, but hello everyone. It's cold here in Montana.
Hi, Kathy. Oh, I feel for you. It's so cold here in Wisconsin. Today is a cold day, It's we haven't even had that much snow, but it's cold.
Bobby says, late here too.
Hi, Bobby. Well, I'm so glad that we video of for the first video of the year. And so in the meantime, so here's my second to last bead. And this is a peach moonstone. I really like it next to that little blue Tibetan agate. And last, I'm going to have this QB. And again, as I mentioned, you don't have to have the same exact order. You can always remix, you can make it your own, and especially if you're going to be adding a few more beads than I have, then you'll have to change the order a little bit. And so this is my last bead. And so here's the important part of stringing your last bead onto the bracelet. And you know, you can be measuring your bracelet by putting it on your wrist the entire time you are creating it. So obviously you're making it for you. And of course, the fun thing about this is that yes, you can absolutely measure it as you go. So once you get to your last bead, and we're going to tie the same overhand knot, but this time we're not going to make it super close. In fact, it's actually a little bit better if you leave a little tiny gap. And you know, when I say a gap, I mean like maybe just a millimeter or two. It doesn't have to be a very big gap. I'm just saying don't tie it super, super close. So let me tighten this and then I'll show you exactly what my little gap looks like. So you can see, can you see that little triangle next to the bead? That is really all we're going to need. Okay, ladies, so now we are going to start stringing these little cubies. These are hematite cubies, and I adore them because they're so tiny and they're so very, very perfect. And I am going to string them on one at a time. And you have, in your kit, you have 8 of them. And that is because, you know, they're so small and who knows, you might drop one in the couch, you know. But at the same time, I'm just going to say, some people not very, very tight. So if you are a very tight knotter, perhaps you will need more than 5. I found that I only need 5. I only used 5 on both bracelets. And so for this one, I foresee only needing 5. And I'm using the same technique. I'm just tying overhand knots. And I don't know if you can tell or not. It's very, you know, this is very small, so it's a little more difficult to see, but I'm essentially implementing the same strategy where on the first bead my string is facing me, and then on the second bead it's facing out, and I'm just going to keep going with the same pattern until I have my 5 beads. So it's the same thing that I did for the larger beads in the bracelet. So this is the same exact pattern, only it's very tiny. Oh, and I think so I just confused myself. So I did string it onto the wrong string. So let's redo it before I tie the knot.
Barb says, Happy New Year, everyone. I'm late to the party, but I will catch up.
Hi, Barb, and thank you so much. Yes. Happy New Year.
Katie S. says, for those of you who do a lot of crafting, writing, and of anything where you use your hands a lot, I want to recommend that you try hand yoga before beginning or as little breaks while on whatever. They're YouTube videos.
Ooh, hand yoga. That sounds intriguing. I like regular yoga, so yeah, that sounds very nice.
Karen says, good evening. I forgot you were on tonight. Today felt like a Monday.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know. It feels like a Monday, but I'm so glad that you found us Monday because we had Wednesday off.
Katie S. says, I'm still having difficulty with what day of the week it is.
I know. It's hard to keep track.
Bobby says, I use a dental pick for those knots that go where they want instead of where I want.
You know what? That is totally valid. Some people will use, well, we'll say a dental pick. I'm imagining it to be very similar to an awl. So some people will use an awl, some people will use a tweezers. I just use my hands. It's very comfortable for me to do this. But if you have a different way that you prefer, why not, right? Okay, ladies, so I have just knotted my 5 little cubies into place. And I'm going to give this a little stretch and just kind of play with it a little bit. I'm just trying to loosen it up a little bit because it's a short segment of string. It's about 1 inch, and there are a lot of knots, and we want this to be nice and soft. So I have just softened it up. And so now I'm going to take just one end of the string, and I'm going to sneak it into that little space. Remember when I said don't make it super tight, leave just a little tiny gap? Well, that's the little gap I just went into, and we're going to form a nice little loop. So see, there's my loop right there. And now I'm going to make it nice and snug and make another overhand knot yet. So here's our overhand knot. And again, I'm going to make it nice and tight just by tugging on each of the ends. And should we test if it works? And of course it's going to work. So again, I used 5 beads and this works nicely. And now we are going to finish the bracelet by adding a couple of decorative beads. And for the sepia version, I used 2 of the beautiful little Cosmo Jets. You guys know the Cosmo Jets. So you have some of these in your kit. And then, in fact, you have a big Cosmo Jet in the sepia tone as well. There's some really cool beads in there. And for the colorful Southwest version, I'm using amethyst for those little and beads. And for this one, instead of just overhand knot, which is what this starts out as, I'm making surgeon's knots, which means I'm putting the string through the loop twice instead of just once. And how do you know that you're doing this correctly? It is going to start forming a little figure 8. You know, when you work with leather, it's very easy to see, but with Ceylon, not so much. So we'll do it again and we'll see if it makes a figure 8.
Allie says, love knotting, so relaxing.
It is. I love knotting too. It's like my happy place. And then I'm just going to tie a little single knot on the other side. And you don't have to use the surgeon's knot if you don't want to. I just like that slightly larger knot. I don't know, it makes me happy. And you know, it's all these small little details. So here we go. I'm going through the same loop the second time, which again, this is what makes it a surgeon's knot. Okay, so this you can see, I'm helping it along, but you can see this a little better. You see the figure 8? So if I go really slowly, it will just sort of form the figure 8 on its own. Do you see that? Okay, so now we're going to push it into place and string the bead. And I think I need to cut this one again because it doesn't want to go through, it wants to fray. And remember how we made the what am I thinking? A self needle, that's it. We made the self needle at the beginning. Well, I will tell you a little secret. I did not do that with this string. I don't know, I just skipped it. And you saw that my string was starting to fray. So it's always better to just go ahead and make that self needle. And here's our final overhand knot, nice and snug. And now we are going to cut all the excess string off, leaving about 1/4 of an inch past the bead, maybe a little more. And that's it. We have our little decorative baubles, and we have just made the bracelet. So I'm going to model it for you. So, this is so simple, maybe because I've made like millions of bracelets like this, but it's really, really very easy. Okay, and this is what it looks like. And here's our toggle. And there's a really fun little collection of beads in here. So here we go, starting with the peach moonstone. So we have the peach moonstone, and then we have the blue Tibetan agate, so it combines the blue and the brown, and then the rhodochrosite, and then I love this little decorative spacer guy, and then we have
Spiny oyster.
Spiny oyster. I just couldn't think of it right this moment. So spiny oyster, and then amazonite, and red jasper, and a fun little southwest looking bead, and larimar, and amethyst, and more Tibetan agate, carnelian, lapis, mookaite, turquoise, and finally charoite. And of course, the little amethyst baubles. So it's very, very colorful and fun.
Althea says, so attractive. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Althea. I love that.
Lori says, this is super cute.
Thank you so much.
Allie says, when you are finished, can we please see what you're wearing today? Caught a glimpse of your pretty necklaces.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. So shall I tell you first what's in the sepia one? Okay, so starting with the fun little hematite button. So this is why I love this button. It's hematite, and it is, here, it doesn't want to stay facing forward. Maybe if we move it this way. Mm-hmm. So it has this gold rim around the button, almost like when we have the turquoise with the gold edge, so it's kind of like that. And then you remember we had the little Swarovski bead, the 4mm Swarovski, and the pave bead, and then we have the 8mm Swarovski. It's really cool. And then we have help me out.
Tourmalated quartz.
Yes, tourmalated quartz and smoky. Oh wait, I don't want to skip this guy. This guy is very cool. It's a bead spacer, call it what you will, and it is so the color of the metal is like a soft antique brass. And so it's just like a really fun little quirky shape, and there are these sparkly little stones in it. And so then we have smoky quartz and black onyx, and you already saw the Swarovski barbells, and another antique brass beads, very filigree and very light looking. And then we have the Herkimer diamond and hyperstein and more Swarovski and more Swarovski yet. This is the Cosmojet, and I love this little silver spacer. And then there's more of the tourmalated quartz and the QB, and then of course the little teeny baby Cosmojets, and that's it. And what are you pointing
Did we
at?
do the other one? I don't
We
remember.
just did.
We did. Okay.
Just did while it was on my wrist.
Yay.
Yay.
Just double checking.
Yes, I know.
Connie
Tony
says-
took a little nap, so he missed me going over everything in the bracelet.
Connie says, love the bracelets.
Oh, thank you so much, Connie. And as per Allie's suggestion, I will show you my my necklaces. So this is actually a necklace that I made a long time ago, and there's an article on this necklace somewhere in an old beaten button. I don't know, maybe 10-15 years old, I'm not sure. But since then I sort of redid it so that it fits my mix and match system, because for the article I did not do it as a mix and match. And then here's my other one, and this is one of my most favorite ways of wrapping a stone. This is a netting that I have around this labradorite, and this is what it looks like on the side, on the back. I love this technique so much because it's so versatile. It fits everything, really. It fits every stone. It doesn't matter what shape it is, especially if it's a cabochon. It doesn't matter. It can be round, it can be square. It's literally anything at all.
Those look like the metal stick pearls that we
Yes,
featured.
do you remember I just featured these stick pearls? I adore these stick pearls. Well, these are not actual stick pearls, but rather the molds were made from the stick pearl, and then they made these metal components. So I just featured them in a very recent video.
Bobby says, wow, that's primo labradorite.
Thank you so much. We have some gorgeous labradorite cabochons in the store. And then, of course, I always do this separately so that I can mix and match all of my jewelry. So all of my pieces are like little Lego jewels. They all come apart so now if I wanted to, I could clip something much shorter or a little longer to it, or just a different color, and wear it at a different length and mix it with different sets of other necklaces. So everything I wear is very much remixable, and it's sort of a chameleon because it can be long, short, or in between.
Allie says, I'll look in my enormous collection of magazines to see if I can read about it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I think it may have been a necklace and a bracelet, or it could have been two different necklaces. I just remember that there were a couple of pieces.
And Lori says, I need to learn the wrap you put around your stones. Love your labradorite.
Thank you so much, Lori. You know, in a couple of my books, I do different versions of this wrap. So I don't know if you have any of my books in your library, but if you do, just maybe page through. You never know what you'll find, and if not, you know where to get them.
And Kathy K says, I want to thank you for all your inspirations.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Okay, ladies. So we just made the Knotted Treasure Bracelets. And now we're sort of back to our regular schedule. So now we're back, at least for the next couple of weeks, we're back to Thursdays and Fridays. And the reason I'm saying just for the next few weeks is because, of course, at the end of this month, we're going to be going to Tucson to look for new treasures. So, the next 3 weeks are going to be the usual. We're going back to Thursdays and Fridays. And next Thursday, January 9th, you do know that Valentine's Day is coming up very, very soon. And so, of course, we have to make something new and fun for Valentine's Day. And so we're going to be making the whimsical Valentine Heart Sun Catchers. And yes, these are sun catchers. These are not jewelry. I mean, you can tell that this is a little bit too large to wear, I'm thinking. Although I know at least one person who would wear this. And here it's supposed to be like a little, in fact, there's going to be a fourth one too. So you're only seeing 3 out of 4. So I'm going to show you different variations on how to create a heart. There are 2 very specific techniques here, and the rest is just variations. Okay, ladies, so this is what we're doing on the 9th. That is next Thursday on the same Facebook page, my Facebook page where you are right now. And then on Friday, January 3rd at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, on the Eclectica Facebook page, this is actually tomorrow. So, I'm still trying to figure out which day is which. So tomorrow, if you join me, you are going to see a lot of sparkly Swarovski, beautiful crystals, and there are going to be a few more surprises, but for the most part, it's all going to be about Swarovski. I found a little stash, a really nice little stash here in the store. Sometimes we don't even know what we have. And so I got really excited and I thought, I need to feature this. So tomorrow you're going to see some Swarovski that I have not featured yet. Some settings. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Allie says all of the holiday videos you had were terrific. It was fun watching them.
Thank you so much, Allie. I'm so glad you enjoyed them. I had so much fun. I think Tony and I had a lot of fun doing those videos. It was the first time ever, and we're definitely going to do this again. Did you guys like it that it literally ran into Christmas Eve morning? Was that okay? Or do you think next year we should start a little early? Give us a little feedback on that.
Allie says amazing work and sends the starstruck emoji, I think.
Oh, thank you so much, Allie. That is so sweet. Okay, ladies. So I think we're all done for today. I told you what is happening in the next couple of weeks. So again, tomorrow is the Swarovski day.
Lori says loved it so much, and Allie says yes, loved it.
Yay, thank you so much. Okay, ladies, so we're all done for tonight. We made a bracelet, and it was so nice to be back. Again, first video of the year. This is exciting. It's 2025. So I hope this year treats all of us well. Again, wishing everybody a beautiful new year. And we're going to have so much fun in the new year.
Althea says, yes, I love the videos. Maybe a little earlier would be great.
Thank you so much, Althea.
And Pam says, thank you, Irina and Tony.
Thank you so much, Pam. And thank you so much, everyone, for the lovely New Year's wishes and greetings. And thank you so much for watching. Always thank you so much for your comments and suggestions, past and future.
And Connie says, thank you.
Thank you so much, Connie. And I will see you tomorrow for some really sparkly Swarovski. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in the morning.